What is going on, world? Welcome back once again. My name is Zach Novak and this is Zach Novak Plays Games. In today's video we've got the Destiny update. Now, weapon tuning for Rise of Iron. Weapon tuning. With the new Destiny expansion, we find an opportunity to try to holistically address sandbox balance. We learn from our success and our mistakes, scrutinize player activity from our vast revenues of player data, and come up with a plan of execution. With an expansion, we can change the balanced landscape not only by modifying old guns, but by also creating new ones to fill missing roles and satisfy player desires. In 2.4.0, we will go hand in hand with the weapon ecosystem of Rise of Iron. So, I'm reading this verbatim, very much live. It is 7:41 AM, and yeah, let's start out with the exotics. We got Fabian's strategy. Now double down on a Titan's role to hold the front line. With the Fabian strategy, users will now be able to hold down the trigger to melt enemies until there are none left. Now, kills with this weapon automatically load a portion of the magazine and increase the base damage by 16% and the stability by 44%. So this thing is pretty much becoming a laser and it's very much viable now. Pretty freaking cool for the Fabian strategy. Now, Thorn. This beast, it is coming back. Since Thorn is coming back in the Rise of Iron, it is worth re-evaluating its place in the weapon ecosystem. What are Thorn's strengths? Well, damage over time, we know this. It can provide a location information and health recovery delay. It's got the fastest firing rate in all hand cannon families at the moment, which is pretty freaking cool. It puts us up there with the last word. Now, it has an effective base in the class level range with the actual Send It perk, which makes it a little bit, I don't know, I'm just gonna be like keeping a level head for Thorn and just hoping that it's not so bad. The big thing they did do is they reduced the base damage by 25%. Now that, which was the biggest problem in year one, where people would just lose almost half their health and then they'd tick to death. It was horrible. It was just shitty. Yeah. Next up, we've got Universal Remote. Now, an exotic shotgun not gated by the special ammo economy was already a dangerous tool, but as players hone their mastery over the strong mobility options Destiny has to offer, a hair-pulling combination was born. A range reduction helps bring the efficiency of these sorts of tactics down a bit. Now, the exotic perk's range bonus is reduced by 75%. That's a lot. No longer guaranteed maximum shotgun range, so that's crazy. It's got an increased fire rate, however. It lowers the damage as a secondary effect. So, Universal Remote, not so great anymore, but again, we'll still have to see. We've got Drake's Promise, fitting in with the return of sidearms, which we'll see below. The Greg's Potato gets a little bit more love. Now, this thing's increased damage is only 8%, and then the increased magazine size is 3. So no big changes there. It's not actually going to make it fire any better or anything like that. But they did say something about actual sidearms, so we'll see that soon. But Touch of Malice. Now this thing, the intent of Touch of Malice still shines best in King's Fall. But outside the raid, clever players have actually figured out how to avoid the Touch of Malice single drawback by imbuing themselves with the Blessing of Light. But the darkness has been boiling stronger within the gun. Now, the Touch of Malice self-damage infliction now removes Blessing of Light. Holy shit, I've seen people use this glitch. Sorry guys, no more using Touch of Malice in Crucible. It's done. Anyway, Boolean Gemini. What is happening to the Boolean Gemini? Well, this super versatile weapon is receiving another tool in its kit. It's getting an intrinsic perk, high caliber rounds. An intrinsic perk of high caliber rounds. So that thing, pretty freaking cool. Bull and Gemini, slightly changed. Now no time to explain, is going through pretty much the exact same thing. I'm going to respect the spirit of the weapon with this one. They added an intrinsic perk of Head Seeker. So, that's pretty cool. Head Seeker, high caliber rounds, pretty freaking awesome. I like that. Now, something that is big that is happening. Sniper rifles. Snipers are being utilized extremely effectively in both the Crucible and against the minions of the darkness. However, one family of sniper rifles stands out from the rest. The mid-height impact family of sniper rifles, of which 1000 yard stare and the Y09 longbow synthesis belong. So everyone that's using their snipers, god freaking damn this, man, this is gonna hit us hard. Now let's evaluate the benefits of the family. Decreased magazine size combined with strong impact provide for strong DPS. Now strong target acquisition combined with hidden hand can reach the upper echelon normally reserved for lower impact sniper rifles like Wayloran's March. Now the ability to take down a guardian while in the super state. This thing in itself was what a lot of people liked. Now high body shot damage with a rate of fire that is still fast enough to actually 2-tap that body is still actually viable. Now the results with the sniper rifle has all strength of other families but without the drawbacks. To spread the power a bit, we touched two elements. We reduced damage on high impact snipers, so 1000 yard stare family sniper rifles by 6.95%, almost 7%. That is slightly a little bit, I don't know how I feel about that. Mid-high impact snipers can no longer reliably kill high armor guardians in super. That right there, ouch, that hit hard. Now, no land beyond is not affected by the damage reduction, so that in itself you got to keep in mind. No land beyond is probably going to be the best sniper to actually use at the moment. Now reduced target acquisition for the LDR 5001 and the longbow synthesis to bring in line with other snipers in the same family. So yeah, that kind of sucks. As a result, the slowest fire rate of As a result, the slowest firing family of sniper rifles, Black Spindle, should be your key tool to take down supers, balanced with low magazine size, fire rate, and aim assist. So, big changes coming to snipers. I myself am not really looking forward to all of them, but again, we'll still have to see how it plays out in game. Next up, we have aim deflection. Now this is the aka flinch. If you've ever been hit by a sniper or anything like that while you're trying, or if you've ever been hit by an assault rifle while you're trying to snipe, and yeah, you'll know what it's like anyway. You get the drop on an enemy with a sniper, reducing him down to a pixel of his life. Right before you pull the trigger for the last bullet to exit your scout rifle's chamber, you see the glint and hear the sound of your head turning to mush. You've raised your fist in the air and release a siren scream as you know the wake the baby. I don't know what that's about. Pretty sure that's just, yeah, if you get shot and you get upset and you're like, and you scream. Anyway, don't do that, it's bad. With the changes, we want to give your primary weapon a better chance at contesting sniper rifles. So, we've increased the starting strength for aim deflection when players take damage while scoped in, from 30% to 50% at the start. So, that in itself, yeah, big hit to snipers. With every subsequent hit, the strength of deflection increases until you hit 100% max deflection. So, someone will hit you once, twice, and then a third time, and you will be pretty much max deflected, so you can't actually shoot them at all. The overall sniper aim down sight aim deflection multiplier increases to 1.9%. It was at 1.85%. So, that's a bit of a change. Big change. Yeah. There was a fix with the bug on the Irene's UI stat bars that showed an incorrect rate of fire. We also have auto rifles. With the new auto rifles being introduced in the Rise of Iron, playtests reveal a decrease in the importance of reloading. High fire rate of auto rifle users had enough bullets for multiple encounters. We do not want players feeling starved for ammo, but creating an opportunity for opponents to attack is an important part of the combat dance for Destiny. So, middle rate fire of auto rifles also receives a small damage boost with a damage fall off, but the resultant damage does not drastically change its time to kill. It reduced the maximum magazine size for high rate or fire rate auto rifle families. Now all weapons like Doctrine of Passing and stuff like that, yeah, they're getting a reduction. There's an increase to damage to middle fire rate auto rifles by 1.5%. A little bit of a change to auto rifles, not too much. Shotguns, again they've got a bit of a change. While strong against most combatants, fast firing shotguns have generally experienced low uptime in the PvP. The following changes are meant to sweeten the value proposition, starting with everyone's favourite Titan class weapon, a Mobius. Now this thing's decreased spread on the Titan class shotgun is ADS 0.1 zoom factor increased, and it also has increased stability by 60%. So a little bit of change by aiming down the sight and a little bit more stability. Pretty freaking good. It's got reduced spread angle penalty on shotguns with the perk full auto. Invective was not affected in this, however. Increased high fire rate and low fire rate on shotgun damage by 2%. So a little bit of change to the shotguns. I get a little bit of damage increase. Yeah. Pulse rifles. With high fire rate pulse rifles being strong contenders in the Crucible, we put our lens on the mid and low rate of fire models, nudging them slightly forward while still maintaining pulses all around 3 burst kill. Now we have the increased rate of fire for the Haka style pulse rifle Lamida D, Dumila D. I can't ever say that. Minor increase to damage by 2% for middle family fire rate pulse rifles like No One's Mercy. Finally, moving on, we have sidearms. Now this is where there is big changes. When evaluating player loadout data across the game, we can see sidearms are being underutilized. With the 2.4.0, we aim to change that actual push. Sidearms in themselves will actually shoot further, faster, and be more predictability. So, there's unified damage for all sidearm types. Increased damage for all existing Haka sidearm families by 3% for the lowest rate of fire and 7% for the highest rate of fire. There is decreased damage for non-hit scan sidearms by 5%. For Bestian Dynasty and Queen's Choice, stuff like that. There is minor extension of damage fall off point for sidearms across the board. There is plus 0.5 meters, so that's a little bit of a good change. Minor increase of stability for sidearms across the board. There are added damage in PvE from 20% to 30% dependent on combat tier, which is pretty freaking cool. To accommodate the 2 new fast firing sidearms, the families that are being released. To accommodate the new fast firing sidearm families releasing in Rise of Iron, all current sidearm rate of fire bars will be slightly shorter. This we do have more bar space to display rate of fire differentiation. And this does not change the actual fire rate, just the stat bar representation. So, not amazingly huge changes to sidearms, but still a pretty big change. We've got a couple left. We've got rocket launchers next. While super satisfying, cluster bombs are not always super reliable. At times, the bombs land inches out of their effective range and hit for a single point damage. Grenades and horseshoes is by far the most popular rocket perk available. While decreasing the chance that a rocket misses, it also removes or reduces many of the interesting combat prediction elements that make the weapon archetype interesting to play. By making cluster bombs more reliable and grenades and horseshoes less effective, we hope to mix up the rocket launcher perk selection and inject a more technique into the archetype. So, different. Increase the effective range on the explosions from cluster bomb perks, and grenades and horseshoes perk activation radius is reduced from 1.3 to 1 meter. Truth is not affected by this change, so good old truth is still going to stay the way it is. Pretty cool. Quickly we'll go on to machine guns. The high fire rate of family machine gun really hits the fantasy when it comes to face melting crowd control weapons. Increasing the DPS will also help them shine in other scenarios as well as i.e. boss battles. So, increased damage on the highest rate of fire machine guns. Super good advice. You sir are coming out of the vault and you are actually being used. They're changing it up by 4%, so that's pretty cool. We've got hand cannons. Now, you will only find a small bug fix for hand cannons. However, a preview of Rise of Iron newly minted low rate of fire hand cannons have a high maximum possibility of range stat, giving players a distinct reason to choose this weapon type in Rise of Iron. So, they fixed an issue where the hand cannon Zaoli's Bane's rate of fire stat would not display correctly. So I don't know what that weapon is, sounds very interesting. Fixed an issue where the Taken King, Vanguard and Armstay hand cannons, Down and Doubt 0.00 and the Kulkamakas HC4 stat would be displaying correctly. So, couple of changes to hand cannons, nothing too big. Fusion rifles as well, again only a small bug fix. You can stop making that joke now though, which I don't know what they're talking about. Me and fusion rifles. Vip for the win. Anyway, they got accelerated coils now correctly reflects damage reduction now over the UI stat bars. There is no change to game effect, it's only the UI. They fixed the stat as well where the stat bars on Techie and Rage did actually display incorrectly. So, pretty cool. Next up though, we've got perk changes. Now, after months of collecting player feedback and analyzing usage data, we decided upon a list of perks that could benefit from a refresh. We also decided to reduce the effectiveness of unflinching, which otherwise would have had a negative effect on the aforementioned sniper flinch changes without a trade-off. Finally, the classic magazine perks like armor piercing rounds now give additional range bonuses. Pretty cool. Take a knee now activates after 0.5 seconds of crouching. Added flinch reduction by 25% and increased aim down sight speeds by 25%. Pretty freaking cool for Take a Knee. Now that perk seriously sounds viable, something I might actually use. Exhumed. It has added an extra 0.5 seconds, 15 seconds in total of effective time. So Exhumed in itself lasts a while. Wow. Cascade. Functional change. Melee kills automatically reload a portion of your magazine. Holy shit. That is cool. Surplus now increases carried ammo capacity. So that is pretty freaking cool. When you spawn in, you'll have more actual ammo even that you can carry. Not just you'll be able to find, like, awesome. Grave Robber. Increased activation chance to 25%. So that is pretty cool. Guerrilla Fighter, this one that a lot of people didn't use. I think quite a few people are going to be using it now. It increases the stability and range bonuses by 200%. Just think of it as Hammerforged and Perfect Balance both together when the actual perk activates. Holy freaking shit. That in itself is freaking awesome. There is magazine perk changes, which the magazine perks now actually give range bonuses. They've removed the impact stat bonuses that had no effect on base damage, only on the UI. They removed, well, Piercing rounds have now been added plus 4 range but a reduction of 4 for handling. High caliber rounds have a 3 added range but a reduction of 5 for handling. Skip rounds have an added 5 for range, a 3 reduction for handling but a plus 5 for inventory. Pretty cool. Unflinching is the last one. Decreased efficiency of the perk from 25% to 15%. They do say though, as a final note, sometimes there are bugs that require a more careful rollout than can be achieved through a small update. The stakes are much higher when the issue lies deep within the foundation of the Destiny's engine. This bug has been an incredibly difficult one to fix and test. We hope that we actually got it this time. They are referring to Firefly. Possible fix for crash related to special effects triggered by the Firefly perk. Now, this in itself, don't know what it's about. The Firefly perk, is getting a change. But that's it for the actual weapon update. This has only been a preview of the actual update that's available. Alrighty, so that was the preview of weapon tuning. Now, let's go on to the rest. We've got activities, armor, and a couple of other things. Let's start off with armor. They fixed a bug causing an armor plus 1 perk to sometimes fail in function. Now class items can actually accept shaders, which holy Jesus, that is freaking cool. I like that. I'm wondering if the actual exotic class items can actually have shaders. That'll be very interesting to see. Alright, we have activities, starting things off with public events. Now, if you have only completed a public event for the first time on gold, you'll receive 1 legendary engram, 15 destination materials, 15 legendary marks, 5 motes of light, a very low chance of an exotic shard, 4000 XP for your either core, subclass and gear, and then 25 extra Vanguard reputation. Pretty freaking cool. On your second repeated gold public event, you'll get 200 glimmer, a chance of 2 to 5 destination materials, chance of 1 to 2 motes of light, 1.5k XP, a green or blue engram, and 25 Vanguard rep. On the repeated silver public events, you'll get 100 glimmer, chance of 2 to 3 destination materials, and 750 XP. Repeated bronze materials, you'll get repeated bronze public events, I should say. You'll get 50 glimmer, a chance of 1 to 2 destination materials, and 500 XP. So, not too interesting, but yeah. Quests. The quest menu has now been changed and renamed to Progress. The record book has been moved from the materials area in your inventory to its own location in the Progress menu. Bounties, quests, and reputation are all displayed adjustedly. So, pretty freaking cool. Little bit of a change to the actual in-game UI. Like that kind of stuff. We go into Crucible. Now in general. Legendary engrams have been removed from the Crucible PGCR, so Crucible legendary weapons will drop significantly more often. Awesome! I like that. That means we can get more Crucible weapons and shit like that. Pretty awesome, pretty freaking cool. They fixed an issue where Crucible activity tooltips were showing the wrong icon, which, yeah, I don't know too much about that, but changes. Beowulf, Cesario, and Gilgamesh shaders can once again be acquired by completing Crucible matches. No! I'm done with the days of having an inventory full of freaking Beowulf shaders. God, or Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was the worst. They fixed an issue where reward logic associated with the vanity items from Shax's weekly package, which I don't think a lot of people would mind getting that kind of stuff. But yeah, the Crucible Quest faction's new monarchy will no longer ask the player to earn points in the salvage playlist. Horrible. I had to do that. Well, it's not actually horrible, but it's just different. The Crucible Quartermaster will have weekly bonuses. They've been removed. They're gone. Only Shax. The free sterling treasure from weekly Crucible and Postmasters will be discontinued from now on. Horrible. That's very upsetting. Sterling Treasure is still available, however, from the Prison of Elders and Eververse until the 20th. On September 20th, that's when Eververse is stopping selling Sterling Treasure and she's going to start selling Radiant Treasure. So game types. What is changing for game types? Well, general, there is 3v3 game types are given slightly less heavy ammo per brick because it is 3v3. Trials of Osiris of Year 2 has now ended, which means Trials of Osiris will continue and resume on Rise of Iron's date of the 30th of September, which is 10 days after the actual launch of Rise of Iron. Elimination. There is a heavy ammo that now only appears at one central location in the elimination match area. They fixed a bug where heavy ammo could persist through rounds if the heavy ammo round ends before it can spawn. So, no more cheating in elimination. Next up, we've got Salvage. They reduced the initial relic capture time delay from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. They reduced the time between relic spawns from 25 seconds to 15 seconds. They reduced the cooldown time on enemy probe from 45 seconds to 30 seconds. They increased the interaction radius on enemy probe from 3 to 5 meters. They also increased the sabotage score from 150 points to 200 points. They changed scoring so that now only the interacting player gets a point for a successful sabotage. Pretty cool, pretty awesome changes. Rift, this is getting a change as well, added an overshield on player spawn to cut down on spawn camping. Thank you. I'm sick of spawn campers in Rift, it is horrible. Extended runner damage resistance when picking up spark for a few seconds. Like when you revive someone you get that overshield, it's a lot like that. So, pretty freaking cool. Now, maps have been changed. Rusted Lands. They added an invisible physics to stop players from escaping intended playable areas, so no more going outside. Vertigo. They added an invisible physics to stop players from escaping intended playable areas. Again, no going outside. Pantheon. They ended up rotating lower heavy ammo crate to stop people from falling off the map. Thank you. That in itself was a big problem for a lot of people. Crossroads, well, they stopped you from going outside the map. Again. Blind Watch, they moved the elimination tiebreaker zone indoors to avoid bias towards Bravo. So, that's pretty cool. Pretty awesome. Pretty cool changes. Finally finishing things off though, we've got the UI. Fireteam and player in current game session lists have been combined and will display 12 players without needing to change the pages. Clan rosters has been added but will not be immediately available. The inventory menu has been modified to add ornaments. Abandoned quest kiosk may be pagination now allows users to view more than the first page. So, that has been the update. That has been it. This has been Zach Novak. Do all that good stuff down below. Share this video around because this is pretty interesting information and I honestly think a lot of people will want to see this. As well as that helps the channel out. Can't say that enough. Once again, thank you guys for your time. You're freaking awesome. This has been Zach Novak. Weapon update. A lot of things changing in Destiny. This update it's looking hype. Rise of Iron, holy Jesus, it is only around the corner. Leave some hype down below if you are actually excited for Rise of Iron. Do all that good stuff down below. Leave a like, leave a comment. I'll be cheering like Kieran if he was Ed Sheeran. But until next time, this is Zach Novak, signing off. Peace out.